Once upon a chilling winter night in the small town of Ravenscroft, a quaint little house stood at the end of Chestnut Lane. This house belonged to the Thompson family, a seemingly ordinary bunch with two parents, John and Mary, and their 10-year-old son, Timmy. Little did they know that this particular night would unravel a series of terrifying events that would change their lives forever. It all began when the Thompsons decided to spend their Christmas vacation at the family cabin in the woods. Excitement filled the air as they packed their bags, leaving behind their cozy home on Chestnut Lane. However, amidst the chaos of the preparations, they failed to notice a sinister presence watching from the shadows. As the Thompsons embarked on their journey to the cabin, a figure clad in tattered clothing and a hooded cloak emerged from the darkness. This mysterious being, known as the Forgotten Shadow, had been lurking in the town for centuries, forgotten by time, but always seeking to reclaim what was once its own. The moment the Thompsons left, the Forgotten Shadow slithered into their home, shrouding it in an eerie silence. Unbeknownst to Timmy, who had been accidentally left behind due to a mix-up in the car, a malevolent force now held the house in its grasp. That night, as the clock struck midnight, strange occurrences began to unfold. Timmy, alone in the cold and silent house, heard creaks and whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls. Unseen footsteps echoed in the hallway, but when he mustered the courage to investigate, he found nothing but darkness. As the hours passed, the Forgotten Shadow revealed its ghastly power. Objects moved on their own, shadows danced menacingly across the walls, and chilling whispers echoed through the empty rooms. Timmy, realizing he was not alone, clutched his teddy bear tightly and tiptoed through the shadowy corridors, his heart pounding with fear. The Forgotten Shadow, fueled by centuries of bitterness and neglect, intensified its malevolence. Doors slammed shut, windows rattled, and icy drafts whispered tales of long-forgotten tragedies. Timmy, trapped in his own home, faced the eerie reality of being pursued by a supernatural force. As the night wore on, the Forgotten Shadow's intent became clear. It sought to absorb the essence of the living, reclaiming the life it had lost so many years ago. Timmy, driven by desperation and the instinct to survive, navigated the treacherous maze of his home, evading the sinister entity that lurked in every corner. The climax approached as Timmy discovered an old family photo album hidden in the attic. The pages revealed the tragic tale of a family who once lived in the same house, torn apart by a terrible accident. The Forgotten Shadow, an entity born from that tragedy, sought vengeance for its unjust fate. With this newfound knowledge, Timmy confronted the Forgotten Shadow, pleading for understanding and compassion. In a chilling crescendo of paranormal energy, the Forgotten Shadow hesitated, torn between vengeance and the innocence of a child who had unknowingly become entangled in its haunted legacy. In a sudden twist of fate, the Thompsons, having realized their mistake, rushed back home. The moment they crossed the threshold, the Forgotten Shadow retreated into the shadows, its thirst for revenge momentarily quenched by the presence of the living. The Thompsons, unaware of the supernatural events that transpired in their absence, embraced Timmy, relieved to have him safe and sound. Yet the Forgotten Shadow lingered in the corners of the house, a spectral reminder of the thin veil between the living and the forgotten. And so, Chestnut Lane remained a place of whispered legends, where the shadows harbored memories of a tortured past. The Thompsons, though reunited, could never erase the haunting experience that forever changed their perception of home. And as the years passed, the town of Ravenscroft continued to cast wary glances at the seemingly ordinary house, forever haunted by the echoes of a night when the Forgotten Shadow sought retribution. As days turned into weeks, the Thompsons struggled to shake off the lingering unease that had settled in their once warm home. Despite attempts to resume normalcy, the shadows seemed to retain a life of their own, whispering tales of the Forgotten Shadow's anguish. Timmy, haunted by the memories of that fateful night, found solace in the company of his teddy bear, a constant reminder of the courage he had summoned in the face of the unknown. But the darkness that clung to Chestnut Lane refused to release its grip entirely. One stormy night, the winds howled outside, and the forgotten echoes of the past resonated through the creaking walls. The Thompsons were startled awake by the sound of phantom footsteps, as if the forgotten shadow still roamed the hallways seeking retribution. Mary, unable to shake the feeling that something was amiss, decided to investigate the strange occurrences. Guided by an unseen force, she stumbled upon the old family album in the attic, revealing the tragic history that had bound their home to the vengeful spirit. The forgotten shadow, though momentarily dormant, seized the opportunity to manipulate the family's dreams. Night after night, they were plagued by visions of the past, reliving the pain and suffering that had birthed the malevolent entity now tethered to their lives. Desperation led the Thompsons to seek the help of a local paranormal expert, Dr. Eleanor Blackwood. Skeptical at first, she agreed to investigate the supernatural phenomena that had ensnared their home, unknowingly stepping into a battle against a force as ancient as time itself. Dr. Blackwood, armed with her knowledge of the occult, conducted seances and rituals to communicate with the otherworldly. As the room filled with an unnatural chill, the forgotten shadow's presence manifested, revealing its story through a series of chilling whispers and flickering lights. The forgotten shadow, driven by an insatiable thirst for closure, communicated its tragic tale through Dr. Blackwood. It recounted the family's demise, the flames that engulfed the house, and the spectral agony that birthed its existence. With newfound understanding, Dr. Blackwood guided the Thompsons in an attempt to appease the vengeful spirit. Together, they embarked on a perilous journey into the realm between the living and the dead, facing trials that tested their resolve and belief in the supernatural. As the ritual unfolded, the forgotten shadow's grip on Chestnut Lane began to loosen. Ephemeral whispers turned into mournful sighs, and the ethereal presence that had haunted the family finally found peace, dissipating into the unknown. The Thompsons, grateful for Dr. Blackwood's guidance, watched as the shadows that once danced malevolently now retreated, leaving behind a home that felt lighter, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. Yet, as the town of Ravenscroft breathed a collective sigh of relief, the Thompsons couldn't shake the feeling that the forgotten shadow's story was eternally imprinted on Chestnut Lane, a spectral tapestry woven into the fabric of their lives. In the aftermath, Timmy discovered an old journal hidden in the attic, chronicling the forgotten shadow's existence. Its pages revealed the entity's journey through time, weaving in and out of the lives of those who had unknowingly crossed its path. As Timmy delved into the journal's pages, he discovered a cryptic message left by the forgotten shadow, a plea for future generations to remember the sins of the past and tread carefully in the realm between the living and the forgotten. Years passed, and Timmy, now a young man, carried the weight of the family legacy. The events of that chilling winter night had become a cautionary tale whispered to children on dark, Ravenfrost evenings. The Thompson house, though no longer plagued by supernatural occurrences, stood as a silent witness to the interwoven destinies of the living and the forgotten. Its walls held secrets, and the echoes of the past lingered in the air like a haunting melody. Timmy, driven by a sense of responsibility, became a guardian of the forgotten, sharing the tale of the forgotten shadow with those willing to listen. He vowed to preserve the delicate balance between the living and the spectral, ensuring that the sins of the past were never repeated. The town of Ravenscroft, forever changed by the events on Chestnut Lane, erected a memorial to commemorate the souls lost in the fire that birthed the vengeful spirit. The townspeople, once oblivious to the supernatural, now approached the memorial with a newfound reverence. The Thompson family cabin in the woods where the story began became a place of reflection for the family. Each Christmas, they gathered to honor the memory of the forgotten shadow, a reminder that redemption could be found even in the darkest corners of the past. However, as the years passed, the whispers of the forgotten shadow persisted. On particularly cold winter nights, the townspeople claimed to hear the faint echo of mournful sighs, a reminder that the line between the living and the forgotten was thin and fragile. One stormy night, a group of adventurous teenagers decided to test the legends surrounding Chestnut Lane. Armed with flashlights and skepticism, they entered the old Thompson house, eager to uncover the truth behind the town's haunted tale. The teenagers, emboldened by the thrill of the unknown, explored the house room by room. Unbeknownst to them, the shadows watched with a quiet intensity, and the temperature in the air dropped as the forgotten shadow, though dormant, sensed the intrusion. As the teenagers reached the attic, they stumbled upon the old family album and Timmy's journal. The forgotten shadow, stirred by the intrusion, whispered warnings through the flickering lights and creaking floorboards, urging them to leave before it was too late. Undeterred by the warnings, the teenagers delved deeper into the mysteries of Chestnut Lane. The air grew colder and the whispers turned into desperate pleas, but the thrill of the forbidden fueled their curiosity. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. Shadows morphed into ethereal forms, and a bone-chilling wind swept through the attic. The forgotten shadow, disturbed from its slumber, manifested before the unsuspecting intruders, its eyes gleaming with a spectral intensity. The teenagers, now confronted by the vengeful spirit, felt the weight of the past pressing down on them. Panic set in as the forgotten shadow's mournful wails echoed through the attic, and the once inquisitive group now understood the consequences of meddling with the forgotten. In a desperate bid to escape the wrath of the forgotten shadow, the teenagers fled the house, their faces pale and eyes wide with terror. The town, once again stirred by the paranormal, found itself grappling with the age-old question of whether the sins of the past could truly be laid to rest. The Thompsons, now elders in the town, shook their heads knowingly. The tale of Chestnut Lane, it seemed, was destined to be passed down through generations, a cautionary reminder that some secrets were better left undisturbed. As Ravenscroft continued to exist in the delicate balance between the living and the forgotten, the Thompson house stood as a sentinel of the supernatural. The town's residents, no strangers to the unexplainable, learned to coexist with the spectral echoes that danced through the quiet streets. And so, the story of Chestnut Lane became a timeless legend, whispered around campfires and shared on dark winter nights. The forgotten shadows that haunted the house were now an inseparable part of Ravenscroft's history, a chilling reminder that the past, no matter how deeply buried, could never truly be erased.